3 minutes until showtime.
All right, let's try this again. See if we can get her on. Got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Welcome everybody to the live stream of tonight's Women in Business show as we get our guest on the line.
Hi, you've reached Ashlie Amber. I can't come to the phone right now.
This ain't good. I got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's see if I can get her to message me back.
Two minutes until showtime.
Of course, I get hit up by everybody and their mama all at the same time. Got 1 minute, 30 seconds. Who is this?
One minute until showtime.
Keep getting a busy signal.
Hello?
Hi, Ashley. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. All right, so I'm going to put you on a brief hold because the show is actually about to go live, and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, great.
All right, we got Ashley. Yay. All right, so let's see if everything is working. Everything is working.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
We're going
4,
live.
3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio. Do you know what kind of woman you have to be to rise in an all-male run, all-male controlled, all-male executed, all-male domain, all men all the time? Do you know what kind of woman you have to be to survive, not only survive, but to thrive and to gain their utmost respect, their utmost regard, and to gain the admiration of not only the men you work with, but everybody who encounters you? Do you know what kind of woman you had to be in 1980? You gotta be powerful. And I mean...
Good evening, everyone. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio, and this is the Women in Business Show. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. It's been a long time since we've done an episode, so I'm very happy for all the support that I've been seeing throughout the last couple of days, and especially tonight even, from all over the world, actually. I'll get to that in a second. 646-652-4479 is the number. Thanks to those who are watching on the IMTN Worldwide Radio YouTube channel. I appreciate that. The live stream is up. I'm not looking too crazy, hopefully. Let me straighten my tie up a little bit right there. Make sure you're subscribed to that channel. Also following on IMTN Worldwide Radio on Instagram and Facebook. And there is a Twitter page, believe it or not, IMTN Radio. Tonight on the Women in Business Show. First of all, the Women in Business Show was created a couple of years ago. I was actually doing posts on Instagram, and I just used the phrase women in business for women that I knew personally that happened to start their own business, or they were using their talents on the positive end of things to create a career for themselves. When I decided to start formulating different programs on IMTN Worldwide Radio, like my sports show around the ATL and IMTN Music and others, I figured let me put the Women in Business Show in the format that I can, personally talk to these women and let other women hear women go through some of the same things they might be going through, hear about their obstacles, how they overturned them, and how they became successful, or how they're working towards being a success. And over the last few years, I've had some great guests. I won't mention them right now because we have one special one tonight. So let's do this. Tonight we have a special guest. This is an artist. This is actually someone I've been following for a while on Instagram. I don't know who followed who first. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just remember noticing this person and their stories on Instagram and how they're traveling the world, how they're performing for audiences and making people happy. And I noticed certain places where I know I've always wanted to go, and I would remark on, the place or something about the wherever she was at, and she would respond back and things of that nature. Then I remember that one time she was standing next to that gate in that swimsuit at a photo shoot, and I was like, okay, I hope I get a chance to shoot her one day. But then I started seeing how her career continued to grow, and then there's some certain things that's happened in the last few weeks to a month that definitely said, okay, I have to get her on the show because I want her to tell people some of these things that are going on, because I can see big things happening for her. So that being said, I had to say all of that because it's important as we introduce our guest tonight, Miss Ashlie Amber. Ashlie, welcome to the show tonight.
Hi, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm really excited.
I am excited as well, and so is the pseudo studio audience. I'm still working on the studio audience. All right, so first and foremost, now I know you're in a time zone that's different than mine, so if you don't mind, go ahead and give the audience a little brief introduction of yourself.
Well, hey everybody, my name is Ashlie Amber, and I'm originally from Thornton, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver, Colorado, and I am a performer, and I actually just got in town this morning to my home in Las Vegas. I just flew in from Nashville from an incredible week out in Nashville, just getting the opportunity to meet with just some amazing people that I'm really excited about. So you guys are going to be fresh off of a travel day. I'm excited to be here.
Wow, you've been moving and grooving for real. Is that near Breckenridge, Colorado, by chance?
Say that one more time. Breckenridge?
Yeah, Breckenridge.
Yeah, it's near Breckenridge. I think Breckenridge from Thornton is like an hour away.
Yeah,
maybe even less than that, 45 minutes.
For some reason, when you said that, I remembered where Breckenridge is, because I've been to Breckenridge before, and this is like 15 years ago. Crazy that I would remember that, but it just popped into my head. So that being said, let's do this. From Colorado, now a lot of people probably have never even been to Colorado. So what was it like for you growing up in Colorado? Kind of give us a little bit of an insight of your early years.
Colorado is different. So I am, I guess people can't see me. Some people might have seen the photos, but I am a Black woman, and the Black community isn't very, there's not a lot of diversity in Colorado, especially where I grew up. We were the only Black family in the neighborhood that I grew up in, the suburbs out in Thornton. And I'm actually from a biracial marriage. My mom is white and my dad was Black. And, growing up there was interesting, especially with all the things that are going on, currently right now.
Mm-hmm.
I saw things. I saw things in a different way being growing up in that type of environment, and it definitely taught me a lot. And I had to go through a lot of struggles because I was always different, and just I looked different than everybody else. My hair was different than everybody else. I was built different from everybody else. So you really have to learn a lot about yourself and get some really tough skin, which is kind of been my foundation to how I've gotten to where I am today. So I'm very thankful where I came from, and the hardships, the good, the bad, everything. I'm very, very thankful. And my dad, he didn't want us to grow up how he grew up. So he moved my older brother and sister from Southern California to Colorado with my mom. And then me and my twin brother were actually born in Colorado. And he just wanted us to have better opportunities than what he had. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is how we ended up there.
And because I was going to ask how you ended up there. You can never underestimate how hard it is to, quote unquote, have to get a thick skin when you're young, whether or not you're a boy or a girl, and have to literally maneuver. You have to use the word maneuver through that kind of environment. I mean, again, I remember Breckenridge. I didn't see any Black people. Okay, my brother and I, we went to try to play basketball, and we almost died because of the whole altitude thing and everything. We didn't know no better, but it was strange. It was kind of surreal, and I was like, huh. So this is what it's like, huh? But as a kid, as a young girl, especially, I can't fathom what it was like. And you kind of gave us a little bit of an insight, and then, like you said, how things are right now is everything is in the forefront, and I think people really should think about those kind of things before they open their mouth sometimes. So I appreciate you bringing that up. That being said, was there something as a young girl that happened? Sometimes there's something, a spark or an incident or an occurrence where you knew music was going to be somewhere in the future for you, possibly as a career. Was there something in particular?
Yeah, there was. Music was really, really big in my household. Both my mom and dad loved music. They used to go to concerts all the time. Like, they used to go to Earth, Wind, and Fire all the time.
Uh-oh, my goodness.
My dad, yeah, they're huge fans. And my dad loved the Spinners and, the Supremes, lots of Motown. We listened to everything. In the house, but definitely a lot of that growing up. And I remember there's a photo of me where I'm probably like two years old, and I have these big giant like headphones over my ears right next to the record player, which is the biggest smile on my face just listening to music. So I've always loved music, and when I was young, I was in the back of the car with my mom and dad. And they were in the front, and I was in the back, and I don't remember where we were going. I think we were going to a grocery store, maybe soccer practice or something. We were very, very big into sports, my family. And I was singing along to the radio. At the time, it was one of my favorite songs. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. But it was that song that went, hey, Mr. DJ, we can get this started. Everybody's ready to party on that.
Jeanette.
On that. Yes. So that song was on, and I was just living my best life singing in the back seat. And my dad he was paying attention, so he actually turned the radio off. And I was just singing along. I just kept going. It didn't matter. I was just in my own world. And about, 30 seconds later, he turned the radio back on, and I was in the same place as the song, and I was still in the same key. And he turned the radio back down, and he said, "Did you know you could sing?" And I said, of course I did.
Wow.
And then pretty much from there on out, you really couldn't keep me quiet after that. I was singing along to everything at the top of my lungs. I remember getting my first Walkman player and having my Walkman and my little cassette tapes with my headphones and just singing to everything at the top of my lungs, driving my family just absolutely insane.
now, Ashlie, we gotta be careful. We can't keep dating ourselves here with all these different references here that people have no idea what we're talking about right now. Some of us. 642-652-4479. If you got a question, definitely the lines are open. I do have a question.
Yeah, of course.
With influences, and you mentioned the Spinners and Earth, Wind, and Fire and such, and I do listen to a lot of different music and old music, especially even going back to the 40s and 50s even. But I remember Jeanette because that was a cool song. You talked about musical influences. How would you say, well, you already kind of, itemized it out as far as family. How important was it at the beginning that you had family that supported you? Because everybody is not that fortunate sometimes to have family to really back them up. So kind of give us a wherewithal of how important it was that your family, once the discovery of Can You Sing happened, going from there.
Yeah, they were extremely, extremely supportive. And it was something that at the time, even though it's what I love to do, I kind of just did it for fun still. Because, like I said, my family was really active into sports. My dad, he coached us. So we played, soccer. We were a huge soccer family. Basketball. I played softball. I also played volleyball, when I was a little bit older, when I got into middle school. So I was really, really active into sports. It actually wasn't until it wasn't until my dad actually passed away when I was 12 that I really dove into music, and I used that to stay out of trouble. I used it to kind of deal with my grief and the pain, and the fact that I didn't quite understand. I mean, obviously being 12, definitely old enough to realize, that he passed away and he's not coming back. But, 12 is it's still a young age. It's on the verge of becoming a teenager and finishing middle school and going into high school. So it was a very strange time because it's a very awkward time for most kids. And so I just really, really dove into music, and I just started discovering all kinds of music. So that's when I really started diving into Whitney Houston, which is if anybody knows me, is my biggest influence. And I also started diving into a lot of pop music and pop R&B. 90s R&B was fantastic, and I had older brothers and sisters, and that's what they listened to. So even though I was young and it was a little bit before my time, or I still knew what was going on and loved the music. And then I also discovered country and music as well, because Colorado loves country music. And so I was just influenced from a young age by all these different music, and I would just sing anything and everything that I could. Anything that just I connected with, I would sing. I just loved to sing, and that's when I really started to pursue it and was in choirs and performing for sporting events for the national anthem, just all kinds of things like that. And that's when I really, really dived into it. So it was my father's passing and him encouraging me when I was younger that inspired me to continue on this journey and to make it my life.
Well, that's definitely something on the inspirational side, and sorry for your loss. And I can relate. I lost my dad a little bit older, but it still, doesn't erase the pain of it all and everything. So I definitely can relate to that. So definitely. And also, you actually filled in a blank for me because on your website, there's this tribute album titled "I Will Always Love You." So you filled in the blank for me that I didn't have to ask. Thank you.
Yes.
I figured it out. Miss Whitney Houston, rest in peace. Okay, so I have not an oblong question, but here's one that I don't think a lot of people have ever gotten to hear from an artist most of the time. How hard is it to make a song, Ashlie?
Like to record a song in like the studio, something like that.
Well, let's just say from the point of origin of the idea to writing it to the studio to, just pick any song that you've ever done or whatnot, and we'll get into one of your songs a little bit later, of course. But just give the audience a little bit of a synopsis of just putting one together.
Well, a typical song starts with an idea. For the longest time, I wasn't really writing because I was so busy traveling the world, and I'm internationally known for my Whitney Houston celebration, actually, which is why I have an album of all of her music that I covered and recreated in my own style, while still keeping her integrity. But so it actually wasn't until just within the past year or so that I really decided to start writing again. When I was, 18, 19, 20, 21, I used to write all the time. And then my life just kind of my performing life took me in a different direction to where I was doing lots of musical theater and stuff. But like going back into writing now, typically what happens if I get an idea, I'll write it down. So maybe there'll be a phrase that pops into my head and I'll just write it down. And then I'll just write down other things that maybe go along with it. And like recently in my Nashville week that I just had, I went with one of the top writers out there, and we had a writing session, and I had all these notes. And basically I was like, hey, this is what I want to talk about. These are my ideas. This is what I want to say. And then together we, co-wrote this amazing song. And then from there, once we finished, the lyrics and the melody and, put the bridge in and this and this and that and blah, 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 then we take it and we start putting a little bit of production into it so we can make like a solid demo. Not anything like that's going to be released on the radio yet, but we want to start putting some guitars to it, maybe some piano, some drums, just give it a basic structure so then we can then pitch it to my producer, pitch it to my team, and then kind of go from there. And then once that happens, then you take that song and then you then go into the studio and then you fully produce it. And the way it works in Nashville is Nashville, for the most part, country music is known for all live musicians. So we'll go into the studio, we'll track a couple songs in one day. And the live musicians, they come in, they get the music, they get the demo ahead of time. They come in, we talk direction, maybe we change the key depending on, what we're going for. And then we go in and we just make magic happen right there on the fly with live musicians. And then it's kind of up to my producer, whose name is Jamie Tate, who's absolutely incredible. He then makes the magic happen with, all the production he adds, and he'll go back and add in extra things, and then I'll come in and I'll lay my vocals, and then somebody else will come in and lay the background vocals. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into place to make a radio-ready song. Hit song.
And that's why I wanted you to iterate that, just so that way they know that you just don't, you sleep on one side of the bed and then you turn on one side of the bed and you get out and your feet are on the floor and then you have a song. I wanted people to know there's a process and protocol and all kind of other things in the middle for one song, much less an album, much less everything that comes after that. You see what I'm saying? And again, one of the things I've always said is at a certain point, you have to be wanting to put in the work. You have to be wanting to put in the sacrifices that are involved, because somebody else who might not even be as talented as you might be willing to do it a little bit harder than you, and they're the ones who are going to be on the radio, even though they are not talented whatsoever, or on TV or in a film and so on and so forth. So I just wanted those in the audience to kind of hear that, to be like, maybe, are you ready or not? Let's try to find that out, because that's one of the reasons I have you on this show tonight, because I want you to be heard as somebody that people can, I use the word inspiration a lot and things of that nature. And of course, on the Women in Business show, I'm supporting women throughout. But even guys can be a little bit inspired as well if they are listening as well. So I wanted you to say that, and just like that. Hey, by the way, I didn't prep her on any of this, guys. So I appreciate that thorough explanation. I appreciate that. Another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did it get to where, because you actually kind of mentioned it, you have a worldwide knowledge in regards to your Whitney cover. So is that how being able to travel the world kind of began, as far as that part, as far as the entertainer part of your moniker? And how is it that you are able to maintain what I know has to be a hectic schedule, going from place to place and performing? And then third part of that question, I'm giving this all at once. What's the best and worst aspects of the travel part of entertaining on a regular basis, like you do sometimes?
Right. Yeah, those are all great. Well, performing, yes, doing the Whitney has been such a blessing. And when I say a Whitney celebration, I am in no way trying to be Whitney or imitate her vocals, because let's be honest, there's only one Whitney, and she is just flawless and incredible. And she had such a gift and such just a raw talent that we will, never see again, definitely in our lifetime. Now, that's not to take away from some other fantastic vocalists that we have out, but Whitney was truly something special. So my celebration to her is truly a celebration of her music. I do everything in my own style. I actually have a little bit more of a rock edge when I do my Whitney Houston tribute show, which is a lot of fun, lots of heavy guitars, lots of distortion. And what happened was I was working on a cruise ship. I was in one of the production cast, and I was in a cast, and when we weren't performing, they had these guest entertainers or headliners that would fly onto the ship, and they would perform one night, and that was it. They would do their show and they would leave, and they did nothing else. And I was like, man, I want that job. And so I asked around, I asked some questions and figured out, I was like, okay, well, what do you got to do to get a job like this? Like, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, well, you have to get an agent, and these are the top agencies. You have to put a show together. The show's got to be good. And, good luck, because they're not going to take you seriously because you're just in the production cast. Like, you're not going to make it, you know what I mean, type thing. And I said, cool, challenge accepted. And so it took me 2.5 years. But within about 2 months, I had put my first draft of my show together. And I was very lucky to have a very supportive entertainment director who allowed me to put it on stage and perform it in front of the audience and start building my show. And then the response was just incredible. And so I submitted to agencies and blah, 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 and none of them signed me, not a single one. I submitted multiple times. Not a single person signed me. So then I went back and I redid my show, and I got new footage, and I redid this, and I restructured it, submitted again. Nobody signed me. Couldn't get anybody to sign me. And then I just so happened to be on board, and I was still in the cast at this time while doing my show. And the entertainment director for the cruise line I was working for just so happened to be on board. And my cruise director just absolutely loved the show and just was very supportive of what I was doing. And he gave me the opportunity to perform it in front of her. And she cried, and she was just overjoyed. And she was like, what do you want? And I was like, I want to be a headliner. And she made one phone call to the #1 agency for headline entertainment. And the rest is history. They then signed me. Keep in mind, this is an agency I had submitted to 2 or 3 other times I had submitted to and never heard back. And then based off of her recommendation, they signed me. And then within a short amount of time, I became one of their top female headliners and went on to open one of the cutting edge, most talked about ships in the world at the end of 2018, going into 2019. And I was given a residency on board. And then I just ended up traveling the world. I've been to 70 different countries, flying all over the world. They fly me in, I do my show, I hang out for a couple days, and then I fly to the next ship. So it's been an incredible, incredible, incredible journey. And the places I've seen are amazing, which you can't take back. Before I'd ever stepped foot on a cruise ship, I didn't even have a passport. And a lot of people kind of hate on cruise ships.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, you're just like a cruise ship singer or something like that. And I've worked with some of the most talented people from all over the world. Ships represent over 70 different nationalities on one ship. It's absolutely incredible. And I've worked with so many people that went on to be on Broadway. I've worked with so many people that are just incredible, incredible performers. And it's just been amazing. But the downside of traveling like that, and the downside of having the blessing of being booked, 42 plus weeks out of the year is incredible, but, you're never home.
Yeah.
And last year, infections, because I was just traveling so much, and you a lot of times you're traveling with no sleep for 36 hours. My longest travel day was 54 hours straight. With,
my goodness!
With
wow.
No sleep, no nothing. Yeah, I got caught in Hurricane Irma back in 2017, and trying to travel to where I was going, and then I couldn't go, and then I had to travel back and where I was traveling from. It was a mess. But so there's those moments that are really, really difficult, and a lot of times you're in countries where English isn't their first language, and I don't speak French, or I speak some Spanish, but not a lot, and so sometimes communication barriers can be a little bit difficult, but those are just like minor things. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been traveling the world, performing in front of thousands of people, getting to do what I absolutely love, which is to sing and to share my story, and hopefully inspire other people to share theirs and to follow their dreams. So honestly, there's really no negative. If you want to count lack of sleep and getting sick, here and there, as a negative, that's about all I can give you.
No problem. And truthfully, and again, this point of, the reason I asked that, or I asked you to kind of explain that part of it, is that this opportunity, as far as that goes, happened because you were pretty adamant that you weren't going to give up. You mentioned how this agency that eventually signed you was one that you applied for and submitted for several times. You continued to prove that you could do it. You just had to wait for someone to listen who could make the move. And sometimes a lot of people get discouraged and quit, and they give up because after that 17th straight time that they've submitted themselves, they finally say, okay, well, is this not going to happen, when the 18th time was going to be the time. And I've always said at a certain point, you got to believe in yourself. Nobody can believe in you more than you can believe in yourself. But nobody's going to make you do anything you don't want to do. So if you really don't want to do it, it's going to be found out pretty quickly, because there's a lot of competition out there. So you're another proof positive on that one. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, for anybody who's listening with any business, because, a lot of people might because the music business is its own business in itself. And I am the CEO of my own business because I myself am a brand. Like, I am a product. That's what, a solo artist is considered. And it's not easy because, there was a lot of people who were like, well, who does she think she is that she can put her own show together? Or like, man, how is it that she got, signed by the #1 agency and now she's headlining and now she's opening this? There was a lot of people that are not supportive and a lot of people that just assume certain things about me because, being a woman in any industry is difficult. And the industry on the cruise ships is very male dominated by headliners, extremely. They'll hire, 5 male headliners on one ship and only 1 female. It's extremely unfair because, and it's the same thing within the country genre, which I'm, in right now. It's as if like they say that women don't support women and that women, don't get as good ratings and women don't do this and women don't do that. There's just so much that like men can just get away with anything and everybody loves them, but like a woman can't. And I just refuse to let that be my narrative. I refuse to be told that just because I'm a woman or because I'm a Black female that I'm not going to be able to sell or have a successful show.
Exactly.
I will have a successful show and I will work 10 times harder just to prove to you that my show will be successful. And that's what I did. And it wasn't easy. And there was lots of tears.
I can imagine.
And lots of crying. But at the end of the day, I didn't give up, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made. And that decision also led me to where I am today and the path and the journey that I'm currently on. So I'm just super thankful for all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's all part of the amazing journey. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'll mention this because they're actually listening. The Ocon twins in London, England, are listening to this interview. They wanted to hear you speak on certain things.
Oh,
and
amazing.
Yes, they said for me to tell you hello. So I did. So
Hi.
and but that's one of their biggest quarrels there in London, because in London a lot of people don't know, but it is very difficult for Black female actresses, I should say, to get regular work, like real work, like quote unquote real work. That moniker of real work is difficult, and it can get really discouraging when you know you're the best, or at least you should be qualified, and you don't even get looked at. And
Yes.
when acting is your craft on their particular case, or if it's music in your particular case, although we're going to talk a little bit about acting in a second, it gets hard to put up with whatever it is. It's like you mentioned, you have all these guys who are getting headliners and you're the only one that is not a guy, and you're like, well, where are all the other girls at? What's going on? I know we got some talented, women out here who can blow. Where are they at? What's going on? That doesn't seem right, So it's been like that for a long time, and we all know it. And only slowly but surely is those dents starting to happen, but it's not happening fast enough, really. So I'm glad you brought attention to it again, because again, people need to hear these things, so that way they know, whoever's listening, you know what, you need to step up and get in the mix, so that way that tide can start to change just a little bit,
Yeah, the best advice I can give for them and for anybody who's feeling that way is, I know firsthand, growing up in an all-white neighborhood, it wasn't easy, and when I was cast, I was usually typecast, or I would be the only Black just person in the show. The best thing I can say is that what I did, like with my show, is I knew that my show was good. I knew that it was better than some of the shows on, and I knew that they weren't listening to me. So I just continued to make it better and better and better, to the point that they had no choice but to listen and to be like, oh no, yeah, okay, this is amazing. And so what I would say to anybody, it's unfair that we do have to work 10 times as hard just to get the same opportunities. But for me, it's made me that much stronger, and it's made me that much more appreciative of the things that I do have, because I know that it wasn't handed to me, that I had to fight and climb to get everything that I have right now. And all I can say is just keep fighting, keep pushing, and keep trying to find ways to, you know, get yourself seen and be innovative and be different, to where they have no choice but to watch you and listen to you and accept you.
Perfectly said, Ashlie. One of the things I've said on the talent side of things is that you make it to where you dare them to let you walk out the door. Because you know after they've walked out the door, they've made the mistake, because now you've gone over to the other side, and then they'll see you, and then they'll try to hit you up. And me, being the manager side of things, no, $1 million. Oh, you called $2 million. Oh, you wiggled your eyebrow, $3 million. That's just me. I'm petty. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, because you had your chance.
No, and you have to, and that's also something that artists and for any, you know, female artists that's out there, female in business, and especially as a Black woman, female in business, like, Black women are across the board the most underpaid in any business. It doesn't matter what it is, and it's important to know your worth and to speak up and be like, hey, like, no, I want the same, like, as an artist, I'm like, I want the same money that you're putting behind this artist, because we're no different. Just because I'm a Black female doesn't mean I can't sell as good as her. And how am I ever going to get the opportunity unless you give me the same opportunity that she has? Again, we're not asking for special treatment. We just want the same. That's it. And that's all I want, and that's all I'm fighting for within the genre of music that I have now embarked this incredible journey doing. So, and it's definitely a battle.
Definitely. I just appreciate you being on the show so much tonight to give all of these nuggets here. I do have a brief question before we get to the one of the biggest parts of this particular interview. Acting. You that is part of what you have done. Give us a little bit of your acting as far as either experiences, projects, things of that nature. When did it come into play the first time that you want? Because you mentioned Broadway earlier, and I didn't get to mention it then. I didn't want to forget about it. But what are some of the things about the acting genre that interest you? What have you done so far, or what are you looking to be able to do in the future, possibly?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, you know, being a singer, I think acting is something that naturally kind of comes with the territory. And, you know, the singers that are really talented actors tend to be really talented performers as well, because it's almost as if we're allowed to become a different person on stage. We're still ourselves, but it's like, as Beyonce calls it, her alter ego, like her Sasha Fierce, you know, is when she steps on stage. And, you know, I learned a lot of that from acting and from doing musical theater. So what happened was I was signed to an independent label when I was 19, and I was just put in a genre of music that I didn't want to do, and I just didn't want to do that kind of music. And I just wasn't happy, so I kind of I wouldn't say I gave up a little bit, but I just took a break from music, because I just didn't know what direction of music I wanted to go into. And then I met this incredible woman who opened my eyes to musical theater, and where I could sing, and then I had to act, and I did a little bit in high school, but not a lot. And that became my life, because I found out I could get paid doing that. I was like, wow, you can get paid for doing musicals in Colorado, of all places? Yeah. No way. And so I started to audition, and it just came with the territory. Like, you just had to act. And I didn't go to college. I didn't go to college. That just wasn't my journey. And, you know, I don't have a degree. I don't have a ton of acting classes or a ton of training under my belt. I put the work in my bedroom, where I practice in my room, and I record myself, and I audition for these shows, and I take as much feedback and advice from the directors and the music directors that I can. And I just learned on the go. And that's how my whole career is based. And because of that, it's allowed me to be in leading roles like, you know, Gary Coleman in Avenue Q, and Joanne in Rent, and, you know, Suge Avery in The Color Purple, and just all these amazing roles where your acting is just as important as your singing. And I just learned on the go, and then I started doing some commercials. I've done a couple regional things, and I'm actually the face of the admissions and dispositions office for the Army.
Oh, wow.
One of their training videos, where I got to wear the authentic uniform and everything. So I've done some stuff like that. And as far as in the future, music has taken such a big chunk of my life right now. But now that I've moved into the recording artist side of things and have these amazing opportunities happening in Nashville, we, you know, my team and I, and my manager, Don Gatlin, who I just have to give a huge shout out right now if he's listening, we just have some big visions. Like we're going for Grammys and Oscars and CMAs and AMCs and Tonys. We're going for everything. Like we're going, the sky's the limit. And I have a vision of what my end goal is, and I'm just excited for the journey on how to get there. So definitely some big things in the works for a lot of stuff. So you can definitely see some great music, and here pretty soon some amazing acting in the future as well.
I definitely can't wait for that. And at the end of the day, it's always go all the way or not at all. You know, if you're going to do it, you know, don't play about it, you know, and you know if you got the talent, the only thing that can happen is someone tells you no. That's worst case scenario.
Exactly.
But what if they tell you
Exactly.
yes? And I've always said that. It's like, well, what if they mess around and tell you yes? Are you going to turn it down because you don't think you're qualified type of a deal? And there's people who will do that. And it's sad. And I've seen a lot of talented people kind of fall out the off the wayside just because of that little bit of an aspect. And I've never understood it. I've tried to, but now it's like, okay, well, I don't have the time to figure it out anymore. We got to go forward or we're not going to do it at all. So thank you again for bringing that
Exactly.
up. That's why you're on the show tonight, Ashlie. Thank you so much. All right, so now we get to one of the best parts of my interviews when I have an artist, happen to have an artist. So country music. Now, one thing I want to say about country music. Now, as you are a black woman and I am a black male, in the black community, country music is still way far off as being anything even considered as mainstream. It's kind of almost like a standoff genre to an extent. And I mean, I know I don't listen to a lot of country music. I could not tell you. I could tell you probably, well, years ago, I probably could tell you more than I can right now because I won't listen to the radio nowhere near as much as I used to. But I would just remember years ago I was driving. I can't remember where I was driving. It was a long drive. And I'm flipping channels, and none of the stations were working. And then this one channel hit. It was a country station. I said, okay, I got to listen to something because I'm tired. And this particular song, this particular song came on. I can't remember the artist or the name. I'm mad that I still can't. I've been trying to remember for like 15 years too. But the song was on, and I listened all the way through. And I was like, man, that was actually a good song. And yes, there was a truck involved, y'all. And yes, there was a girl involved in the story. But it was the story and the melody that made me want to listen throughout the whole thing. And how it was put together, and you know, nobody was sexualized, drugged up, shot at, or anything like that. I feel that country music really is still lost. And so I got a question for you. You being a female and a black female country artist, what are your goals with your music?
Well, my goal with my music is to break boundaries and to redefine stereotypes and to let the world know that country music also looks like me, which is a sassy, curvy, you know, black female that rocks a giant mohawk. And that it's just because of what I look like, I shouldn't be classified as a specific type of singer when that's not how I grew up. That's not the type of voice that I have. I don't have this, I didn't grow up singing in gospel churches or things that people just assume. I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and they're like, oh, you learned how to sing in church, right? And I'm like,
Oh wow.
No, like that's not how I learned to sing. Like, is it just an assumption that every Black woman that can sing automatically had to learn how to sing in church?
I guess.
And technically that's not even my vocal type. Like, I'm not even that type of singer. I have a pop, a pop lighter sound. That's my voice. And being a woman in country music right now, just in general, is difficult because it is a very, very male-dominated industry. I mean, women are only making 11% of radio play right now, which means that men are making up 89% of radio play in country music. And, some of them have multiple singles in the top 40, which means that there's less and less and less room for female artists to be able to break into the top 40 and to have number one hits and things like that. And as a Black female country artist, we're basically non-existent. There's only one Black female artist that I know of as of right now that is signed to a major label. And her name is Mickey Guyton, and she is absolutely incredible. I constantly stalk her on Instagram because I love her, and she's so strong in what she stands for, and her voice is incredible. She sounds incredible live, and she's really been these past few years fighting for equality and fighting for more diversity within the country genre, and it's really upsetting and a blessing at the same time that it takes what has happened with George Floyd and all these protests, and for the industry to really, really, truly open their eyes and realize how much diversity is lacking within country music specifically. There's a couple males that are doing fantastic, and every time I talk to people, they'll be like, oh, well, we have Mickey. And I'm like, well, that's one. I was like, you guys have like 50 female artists or 100 female artists, and you only have one. You can only name one Black female country artist. And this is 2020. 2020. It's not okay, because we love country music too. I have a playlist on my Spotify that has like 30 different Black country artists that are on, most of them are unsigned. There's only Mickey and then a couple males that are signed. And the rest are unsigned, extremely talented artists. So it's not that Black, the Black community doesn't like country music. It's just, it's just a little bit harder for us to get accepted because they don't, unfortunately, labels, and it's a business. So they go with what sells. And to them, what sells is what they know. And so to take a risk on, somebody like me with a giant mohawk and curvy and a much more in your face than, the girl next door, which is the typical, image, it's different. It's a risk for them. But, it's a risk worth taking because people are ready for it. Like, people want it. People want different. They want new, and they want fresh.
Well, I tell you, it's time for a change, and it was the mohawk. That's what it was, Ashlie. Well, maybe the curves or the mohawk. I'm not sure. So check this out, everybody. We have a special treat as I go to the next segment here. We're going to be playing Miss Ashlie Amber's single right now called Almost Love. So we want to listen to it, and when we come back, we're going to talk about it a little bit more before we finish the show. So everybody, this is Almost Love by artist Ashlie Amber. Let's take a listen.
Black leather jacket, faded blue jeans, walked into my life like he walked out of a dream. Look at him, couldn't help but think that boy was made for me. He lit up my heart like the 4th of July. Thousands of memories, 100 blue skies. From the back of the Harley
Wow, Ashlie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for playing that.
No,
I love that song so much.
Pleasure is all mine. So give your shout outs on who wrote it and who produced it. Although you already kind of, I think, gave a shout out to your producer earlier, but go ahead and do it again.
Yeah, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Jamie Pate. He produced it. He's out of the Ruckus Room in Nashville. He's won Grammys and Emmys for his producing and mixing and engineering. He's just absolutely incredible to work with. A huge shout out to my manager, Dawn, who is the reason why all this is happening. He's the one that made a phone call to Jamie, and Jamie was just on board immediately. And a huge shout out to the songwriters, which is Billy Montana. And Billy Montana has written #1 singles for Tim McGraw, Jody Messina, Garth Brooks, all kinds of people. He's got a couple singles that are, I think, one in the top 10 right now, and a couple singles on the charts right now. And it was also co-written by the beautiful ladies of Runaway June, which is a fantastic trio of females that are incredible singers. They are just absolutely taking off in the country genre right now. And they were part of the co-writers on that song. And so when I was pitched it, I instantly fell in love with the song, and I knew that I had to record it. So I'm very thankful for them, and the girls have just been so supportive and giving me shout outs with the song. And it's just been amazing to have such incredible people just on my first single, and that's not including all the other ones that I have recorded already. So it's a blessing. Yeah. So I'd like to give a huge thanks to all of those people. They're fantastic.
Well,
for making that happen.
It is a great song, and hopefully everybody that listened, whether it be live or after on the podcast, will definitely get a kick out of listening to that song, because it's a great song. So Ashlie, I want to say first of all that I'm so ecstatic and so happy to have had you on the show tonight. I'm hoping that everybody that listened took something from your interview and will use it for the rest of 2020. There's so many positive things that you said, and you being a woman, of course, that's who I'm really pointing to. Of course, I hope that we get to meet in the future one of these days, and of course we got to do that photo shoot. But before we end up, I need to do a couple of things. One, how can people find you on the web and social media?
Yes, everybody, you can find me by just my name, Ashlie Amber. But my name is spelled slightly different. Ashlie is spelled ASHLIE, Amber. And you can find me at ashlieamber.com, Ashlie Amber on Twitter. And then it's Ashlie Amber Official for my Instagram, for my YouTube, for my TikTok, for Twitter, just all the things. Just Ashlie Amber, ASHLIE Amber. My hair, it pops right up. You can't miss it. And you'll definitely know it's me. And it's the same on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, any of your favorite streaming platforms you can find me on. So I would love your support, especially right now. Us artists, we can't perform, we can't tour. The only thing we can do is through social media and live events and things like that. So please, stream my music, download my music, and if you want to send me a message through social media, I always respond. It does take me a few days sometimes to get back, but I do always respond to every single message that I do get, as long as it's appropriate. And I would love to hear from you guys, and just thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And Chris, thank you so much for inviting me to to be a guest.
Honor is all together mine. By the way, I don't know, can you trademark a mohawk? I don't know. You need to find that out. So everybody,
I probably should. Yeah.
That's how I be thinking now. You gotta watch out for me now. So everybody, tonight on the Women in Business show, I just want to again thank Ashlie Amber for coming on and making herself available. This was a treat for sure, and this was a big deal. And again, I'm hoping that a few, if not all, got something from this interview and definitely can appreciate where she's coming from with her career. And she has a career. And everybody is not that fortunate.
90 seconds.
But at the same time, you can be if you choose to. Again, choice is powerful, everybody. And this is another young woman individual here who I've had on this show after all the other guests I've had to show again that if you really want it to happen, you can make it happen. So again, Ashlie, I appreciate you so much. And until next time, you take care of yourself. Be safe, okay?
Thank you so much, you as well, and thank you for having me. And for everybody out there, continue to stay happy, continue to stay healthy, continue to stay safe.
60 seconds.
And remember to, spread love and to be kind to each other, because this is a difficult time for a lot of people. So a lot of people, they just need to support, and they just need to know that somebody's in their corner. So definitely be the cheerleader for yourself, and also be the cheerleader for somebody else, because it goes a long way.
Again, perfectly said, Ashlie. You take care of yourself. I'll be in touch, okay?
All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was an excellent. Where's my applause at? There we go. So with my last 20 seconds, folks, hopefully you will get a chance to listen to this on the flip side on the podcast version. This was the live version. There's also a streaming. Make sure y'all listen to the next Women in Business show coming soon. Y'all take care. This is Chris on IMTN Worldwide Radio. Peace.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, guys. So that was the end of the show. Those who are now, here's the deal. As the show processes and everything, I will post it up on my different platforms or whatnot for the podcast. Now you can go to Spotify, iHeart Radio, Spreaker, Google Play Music, iTunes. I believe you can pull it up on Alexa as well, and of course Blog Talk Radio to listen to the show tonight. So I'll be posting it, and of course you can watch and listen to this stream of it too. So definitely share that with people. I do appreciate everybody who did watch and everybody who will watch in the future. Ashlie Amber is definitely a dynamic young woman who has persevered over the years and really put herself in a great position by her hard work. So I just had to have her on the show. I've been working on it for a while. It's just scheduling and the pandemic and just everything. It's not easy to get a guest, especially one that you really want. But I'm determined. I don't take, I try to make it happen as much as I can. But I'm very, very happy with this interview. I believe it will help a lot of people if they choose to listen. Again, like I said before, choice is very powerful. And everybody doesn't want to be inspired. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't want to feel good. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't want to maybe do a little bit better. A lot of people would rather just be where they're at because it's easier. And that's kind of sad. But that doesn't deter me from making sure that people know that there is an alternative. And that's what I do. So that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all take care. I am going to have a drink because it's been a long day. And I was nervous with this interview just a little bit. I'm always nervous with an interview, though. It's different from doing a radio show without an interview when it's live. When you're having an interview and you're wanting to get a lot of information out, and there's always a time frame thing. It's difficult. And that's what was happening a little bit at the end of this show. I was like, I want to make sure that we get through everything. However, I have like 17 seconds left. And I don't want to get cut off because once the live broadcast ends, y'all can't hear anymore. We're still on, but y'all can't hear it anymore live. You'd hear it on the podcast version, though. I didn't want to do what I usually would do. Most of the times it happens with the sports show where I have to like, hey, hold on with that thought. Let me close out the show. And then we're going to do the extra time show or whatever. I don't like doing that on an interview. It's difficult to do that. But thanks to all who watched tonight and who will watch later. I appreciate the support. I'm trying to get this page going. It's been so hard. I started a new job and it's been crazy, and haven't done a lot of sports shows because there hasn't been any sports, and I haven't done any of the other shows because I've been busy. So just trying to get back into the swing of things a little bit. So this was the first of maybe 4 women in business shows coming up in the next few weeks. I have a fashion designer and a businesswoman out of Atlanta. I have a woman who interviews artists out of California. And I have some others that are going to be coming on soon. So be looking out. And again, one more time, thanks for supporting the Women in Business Show. Again, follow IMTM Worldwide Radio on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, IMTM Radio, and please subscribe to this page, the YouTube channel for IMTM Worldwide Radio. I really appreciate the support. Till next time, y'all take care. Peace.